accessing data, when I want to access values in that list, remember that I'm using the list name and the index of the item that I want. So I can put that AR fruit index 1 in a variable in another. I can take that item and put it into another container. Now, when I do this, it's not removing that from the list. That item is still in the list. It's just saying whatever's here, make that equal to that. And then I can print it. Okay? So at that point, strval equals orange. And again, the dictionary object, if I want to access something from that, I am using the key that goes with it, because this does not have a numeric index, it's key indexed. So each key has the same thing. In case you're wondering, you cannot have a duplicate key inside a dictionary. So if I had two keys that both said name, I would get an error there. So I can use this method. There's also a direct method called get. You can see it does essentially the same thing, but using a dot notation. It's dEmployee.get and then name. Those two are equivalent for all intents and purposes for where we're at in this class right now. My preference is the direct notation here, which says use the item that is associated with that key right here. It's simpler, and it's all we need for now. Let's take a quick look at what that looks like so that we can see what I mean. So if I have a list of pets, I'm going to define that using a variable called li pets. So I remember it's a list, equals, and then I have my square brackets. And then inside that list, I'm going to add a few pets. Okay. And now if I want to print an item from this list, let's say cat. If I want to print cat, what's the index number for cat? 1, because we start at 0, 1, and 2 for bird. Okay, so if I want to print that, if I want to access that value, then I'm going to use the index like that. So what it means is I'm going to print the item from li pets that is in index 1. So obviously that, when I run that code, is going to print cat. As soon as my computer gets going, there we go. So that's how I access data in a list. Now, if I have an employee record, let's just have a few fields in here. Name, and then I'll say job, and the job is professor, and then I'll do age 48. Okay, so there we go. Now I have 3 key and value pairs. I have name, which is equal to Bill, a job, which is equal to professor, and age, which is equal to the integer 48. So I can display it like this, or if I prefer, I can hit enter at the end of each comma and display it vertically. The other nice thing about displaying it vertically, I think, is that it makes it easy to check and make sure you've got your punctuation right. So at the end of each item is a comma, except for the last one, you end with a curly brace. So it kind of helps you keep the pattern alive a little bit easier, maybe a little bit less visually confusing. So now if I want to print out something from this dictionary, I'm going to use print. And then when I access something from the dictionary, notice I'm not, even though it's a dictionary and we define it using curly braces, I am accessing it using square brackets, just like I did with the list above. And I'm going to, instead of using an index, I'm going to reference the key of the item that I want to print. Now, when it prints this, it's not going to print the word age. It's going to print the value that is associated with the key age. So I'm using that key to look up the value that I want. So when I run this, it still says cat because I left that first line there, and then it says 48. So if I want to change it to the job, I can print the job. And you can even do things like put this in an F string. Just like we did before. Okay, so I can substitute this as if it was just a regular variable into an F string. And it works just fine. So I have a lot of power to do things that way.